Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 10, titled Mourning Cloak. If you have AMC Plus, you got to watch 2 episodes as the mid-season premiere, which is cool. And I already discussed the first episode, or Episode 9, so you should check that out on my channel. And if you like this video, or if you like Fear the Walking Dead in general, or The Walking Dead universe, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to talk about every episode of The Walking Dead universe, the main show, the Fear the Walking Dead, World Beyond, all the spin-offs, etc., and other TV shows too. I'm discussing Moon Knight, I'm discussing Halo, I'm going to be discussing Barry Season 3, and doing trailer reactions soon, all sorts of stuff, so it should be fun, so you should subscribe. This episode follows Charlie and a new character, I believe he's a new character, I don't recall seeing him in the beginning of this season, named Ollie. And Ollie wants to become a ranger for Strand and for Strand's community, and Howard, Strand's right-hand man, sends him off to look for a butterfly, this really elusive, rare butterfly, which he ends up finding. And during that mission, he runs into Charlie, and they bring Charlie back to the tower. And they don't know what Charlie's motivations are. They don't know if Morgan sent her or if she's there on her own. She claims she's there on her own, that she wants a life, that she just wants peace, that she doesn't want to be near fighting, and she thinks that Strand's tower is her best bet at that. And as the plot progresses, they send out Ollie and his quest to become a ranger with Charlie to go find elevator parts. And this whole episode is basically Ollie and Charlie bonding as they search for elevator parts and as they fight members of the Fallout guys dressed like Fallout characters. It's a very good episode. It's very well written. Ollie is another character, and I mentioned this last episode. Fear the Walking Dead does this very, very well with characters, and Ollie is another character just like it, where it's a new character that they get you to love within the span of one episode. And I did like Ollie as a character. I was behind him. I was behind him wanting to become a ranger. I was behind him in his backstory that he told Charlie. And I was actually... him and Charlie's relationship that ended up blossoming felt, to me at least, organic. It felt natural. It didn't necessarily feel written. It could have been a bit better. It could have been a bit more subtle, but it didn't feel overly written, which is, I guess, a good thing. They end up bowling together. They end up kissing. They end up fighting zombies together, and they end up fighting the dudes that look like Fallout characters. They end up killing them. So they go through a lot together. And as they get back to Strand's tower, or before that, let me backtrack. As they're finding the elevator parts, Charlie does admit that she was sent there by Morgan. Morgan wanted her to infiltrate Strand's tower, turn off the lights, and in doing so, they could have the baby and Grace escape. At first, Ollie doesn't like this. He ends up trapping her in an elevator shaft with walkers, and then he changes his mind. He kills all the walkers, and they escape. And Charlie ends up being infected with radiation, which I called because if you paid attention, a lot of the walkers in this building did have the weird growths on them that the walkers that were exposed to radiation end up having, which makes me believe that Ollie probably was also infected, but he doesn't live long enough for us to find that out. When they get back to Strand's tower, Ollie ends up releasing all the butterflies in a very good scene that I like. The soundtrack, the song that they chose, the way it was directed, the acting between the two characters was very, very, very good. And Ollie says that he's going to do what Charlie was sent there for. He's going to go to the roof. He's going to turn off the light. But when he does that, he's confronted by Howard. The two end up in an altercation in which Howard quickly gains control of the situation, and he ends up throwing Ollie off the roof. And a very sad scene, especially when you see it from Charlie's perspective, after she just has this great moment with him, butterflies flying around, them essentially confessing their love for each other, and then she watches him fall from the roof. I like this episode. However, this episode, coupled with last episode, I still feel a bit disappointed overall in the return of Fear Season 7. This was the mid-season premiere. It was a 2-part premiere, at least if you have AMC Plus, and neither episode felt like it lived up to a mid-season premiere. I was expecting more action. I was expecting more drama. Now, granted, we did get drama in last episode and in this episode, and it's drama that Fear the Walking Dead does very, very well, so I'm not going to complain too much. They do very well with the small, intimate character moments, but I was expecting a bit more dramatic set pieces that push the plot forward more as a whole, as opposed to just individual characters' plot points. And this whole episode showcases the themes that this season is doing very, very well. We don't see Strand in this episode, surprisingly, but we see his choices come into play. We see the way that he's leading this community come into play, and how it affects the life of this 15-year-old kid, Ollie, and how he looks up to Strand, how he looks up to the Rangers, how he wants to be one of them, and how he's sent out on a mission, and then he ends up getting murdered by the one who sends him out on this mission. In the end, that's why these people are considered bad. That's why Strand and Howard in the inner circle of his community is considered bad, because no sane person would do that. No normal person would do that. No person who can be considered a good guy would do that to essentially a child. And things aren't much different on the other end, because Charlie was sent there by Morgan. Now, granted, she was probably a lot like Ollie. She was probably willing, motivated, and wanted to do this. But if Charlie is to be believed, in the end, Morgan is still the one that sent her. Morgan is still the one that asked her to do this. And because she went on this journey, she falls in love and then immediately loses him. She's trapped in the tower. Her life is threatened by Howard. Her life is going to be threatened by Strand. And she's essentially got radiation poison now, at least according to Grace. And so both sides of this conflict aren't good. There's no good person. There's at least no wholly good person. Of course, Morgan and his side are still more on the morally right scale, but you see flaws in both of them. You see both of them crossing lines that no wholly good person would cross, and that's something that makes their conflict so interesting to me, that makes the Strand Morgan conflict so compelling of a plot point that we've seen in the whole universe of The Walking Dead, is that both sides, I feel like, are more equal compared to any conflict in the world of The Walking Dead so far. Like Rick versus the governor was clearly the bad guy. Rick versus Negan, well, the lines were blurred more. Rick still didn't do what Negan did. He still didn't brutally murder innocent people. I mean, in a point he did, but he still didn't threaten to kill children. He still didn't force people to be his wives. In the end, Rick was still more on the morally good side, but it was still close. But in the end, I still feel like Morgan and Strand's conflict is still the closest we've gotten in terms of a greater conflict in the Walking Dead universe, in terms of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Season 10, Episode 10 of Season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead, titled Mourning Cloak. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments. Are you liking this season? Are you hating this season? Do you hate that you love it, or do you love that you hate it? Let me know. Again, subscribe to the channel if you want to see me talk about every episode of the Walking Dead universe moving forward, and other things. Again, I'm doing Moon Knight. I'm going to be talking about Barry, Season 3, Halo, trailer reactions, etc. So I hope you join me on this channel as it grows. Thank you.